Hi, I'm David Barrett, ManxChassis.com. I build chassis for Manx cars, fiberglass dune buggies, and I build the 14¼ inch shorter chassis, or the long chassis if you happen to have a long car. I've been building these Manx cars since 1969, building and driving them, and have always been a little unhappy with the Volkswagen pan that becomes pretty weak when you take the chassis off of, the body off of the chassis. And I decided a few years ago, about 10 years ago, to build a good strong tubing chassis for my Manx car, and was pretty amazed at how tight and strong the car got on the street, and especially how tight it was off-road. I've shipped chassis to Canada, Mexico, France, England, and I think I can get the rest of the world here before long. I build a standard Manx chassis with a ball joint front end or a link pin front end. The chassis is different for each one, or an IRS or swing axle. To your specs, whatever car you're driving, whatever car you're taking apart to put a good chassis under it. A lot of chassis are broken now. They were poorly shortened in the first place and now they're falling apart or rusted away. There's no chassis left in the East. They're all rusted gone. So if you need a chassis under your special car, I can build it to your specs. Also for speedsters and deserters and all of the mid-size cars, I put chassis under those. You show up with your car, I can put it on my jig and build a chassis under it so that it exactly fits your car. Over the years, these old cars have warped and shrunk like fiberglass does, and they don't particularly fit a VW chassis anymore. And I can take your car and build it exactly to fit your car. My new full tubing chassis goes around the outside of the fiberglass body. The first time I took one of those off-road to my normal place out in the Mojave, where we've run many times, I was driving the two-track roads in the desert at my normal speed. And then I figured out, let's shift this thing into third gear, fourth gear. I started building these chassis because I was unhappy with how the VW pan is pretty weak whenever you take the body off the VW pan and shorten it down to a Manx chassis. I decided one day to build a tubing chassis, and hoping that the strength would be a whole lot more. Well, after my first chassis, I was very, very happy and found out that a lot of other people saw it and decided they needed one too, so now I build them for a lot of people. I build a full tubing chassis that is basically a sand rail that the dune buggy body sits down inside of. It is a very strong chassis. I drive one of those off-road and am very, very happy with it. It was a good chassis. Pan that I build, the chassis that I build, is made out of tubing, various size tubings, and shortened 14½ inches normally to fit the pans, the cars. And they are, according to the test at the on the race plate down at a friend's place who builds super modifieds, they came out to be 10½ times stronger than a Volkswagen pan in torsional rigidity. So you can tell the first time when you get in the car and driving around a corner. There's no more shake on the cowl. The stutter you get in the steering wheel, most of that goes away. They turn into a good, strong car. The chassis that I build will fit the original Meyers-Manx cars and all of the copies. A lot of the copies were made better than the Meyers-Manx. A little bit straighter, a little bit stronger, and they're all basically built from the original outline of a Meyers-Manx. And there is a new wave of long cars out there now that I'm building a lot of chassis for. That's simply a Volkswagen replacement pan, simply 95-inch wheelbase, the original Volkswagen size. Those cars, the long cars, really need an aftermarket pan, because when you stretch over 14 inches longer, then you do have a very sloppy feeling when you drive the car. It shows up mostly when you're going around corners. The whole front end will shake. My chassis get rid of most of that. The cars will shake if you pound them hard enough, but I've had them pounded very hard and never gotten one back. The normal backlog for ordering a chassis can be 2 weeks to 6 weeks, depending on when you bought the order. Orders happen a lot in the spring and summer. Fall get a little bit slower, thank goodness. I get a chance to go out in the desert myself and go see the world. My name is David Barrett, and I will build you a good chassis. You can find me at manxchassis.com. Thank you very much.